In section 3 in chapter 10, we're going to talk about different operations with radical expressions. First thing we're going to talk about, number 1, is we're going to talk about how to add and subtract them. You've already learned how to multiply them, so we're going to kind of ignore that because we did that in last section. Number 2, we're going to talk how to distribute with them. Okay? And then number 3, we're going to talk about how to rationalize. But you have rationalized before, but now you're going to rationalize with a binomial on the bottom. And one key word for today, is going to be this word, conjugate. Okay? Let's go ahead and move on. We'll save this to talk about when you come in. Now let's talk about some rules for adding and subtracting. The first rule that I cannot stress to you enough, number 1, reduce if possible. Now let's put simplify by that because maybe that's a better word for you to use. Reduce or simplify if possible. Okay? And that would be where you take your perfect squares and see what goes into them. Step 2, let's just put combine like terms because that's essentially what you're going to be doing. Combine like terms. Now when you combine like terms, here's a couple of key things. They have to be the same inside. And when I use the word inside, that the real word for that is that the radicand has to be the same. Alright. Let's take a look at part A, problem 1, part A. What is the simplified form? Step 1, they don't reduce. Okay, so I'll give each one a little check mark because they're already reduced. It's not like anything goes into 11. And now I just combine my like terms. 6 plus 9 makes 15 square roots of 11. And really, guys, it's almost like adding 6x and 9x. As long as like these variables are the same, it's the same type of deal. As long as the square roots are the same, you can combine. If those weren't the same square roots, you couldn't do anything. Okay, problem B. What's the simplified form? Okay, now they're already reduced. I can give each one a little check mark. If it helps, go ahead and put a 1 in front of that square root because it's really 1 square root of 3. So you have 1 square root of 3 minus 5 square roots of 3. 1 minus 5 is negative 4 square root of 3. Let's try the next one. They're both simplified. Give them a little check mark. 7 minus 8 is a negative 1. Square roots of 2. Now let's go to problem 2. What's the simplified form? Now I'm going to give this one a check mark because this one is simplified, but I'm going to change this to minus 12 is made up of 4 and 3. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 3 left over. So really I have that problem. 5 minus 2 is 3 square roots of 3. And you can see how our skills from section 2 really help us be able to do section 3. Let's try this again. I'm going to give the 7 a check mark because it is simplified, but 28 is comprised of 4 and 7. So I'm going to make this. Remember when you bring out the 4, it's actually turning into another 2. So there's the original 2, there's the 2 you brought out, and then there's the 7 that's left over. So this turns into plus 4 square roots of 7. So really I have 4 square roots of 7 plus 4 square roots of 7 makes 8 square roots of 7. Now when you multiply radicals, remember your key rule. Inside with inside and outside with outside. Those rules should really get you through. Remember to reduce or simplify if you can. Alright, let's look at problem A. Now notice this is distributing, so I'm just going to distribute like I would before. This becomes 10 times 6, inside with inside. So I get the square root of 60 plus, now if you want to put a 1 out there, you can put a 1 out there, outside with outside. So 1 times 3 is 3, and the square root of 10 is the only thing that's on the inside. Now 60 is comprised of 4 times 15. Bring out the 4, so we get 2 square roots of 15 plus 3 square roots of 10. These cannot be put together because they're not the same radicand. So I'm going to make a star here, so when you study, you know what you're doing. You're going to say done. The radicands of 10 and 15, or maybe 15 and 10, are different. They're simplified. I'm done with this problem. Let's move on. Problem 3 is multiplying radical expressions. Well, guys, you're just going to distribute everything together. So I'm going to draw the first arrow on, and I'm going to multiply here. The square root of 6 times the square root of 6 is the square root of 36. Okay, that was the first. Now let's do the outsides. Let's do the square root of 6 times the square root of 3. Take a guess. Square root of 18 is what hopefully you said. All right, let's do this one. Negative 2 square roots of 3 times the square root of 6. Outside with outside, inside with inside. So I get a minus 2 square root of 18. 2's on the outside, 3 and 6 makes 18. Do it again. The 2's on the outside, 3 and 3 makes 9. Which one of these, or which ones, get simplified? Well, a whole bunch of them. The square root of 36 is 6. Now 18 turns into 9 times 2. 18 turns into 9 times 2. And this is really minus 2 times 3, because the square root of 9 is 3. Let's deal with these radicals. Bring out the 9, and you get plus 3 square roots of 2. Bring out the 9 here. Remember, when you bring it out, you bring out a 3, so I get minus 6 square roots of 2. Okay, so that's really 2 times 3. That's how I got the 6. Combine your like terms, recognizing that this is actually a minus 6 here. All right, it's a minus 6. Notice how the positive 6 and the minus 6 cancel each other out. And you end up with 3 minus 6 is negative 3 square roots of 2. Let's try the got it. Distribute in. 2 times 6 is the square root of 12. Now the 5's on the outside, so I'll just do plus 5 square roots of 2. Remember that the square root of 12 is really 4 and 3. So that turns out to be 2 square roots of 3 plus 5 square roots of 2. Now something I want to do that's not on here, it is in the book, it's on the got it, and that would be this. The quantity, can you write a parenthesis please? The quantity of the square root of 11 minus 2, the quantity squared. The reason I want to do this one is because of the squared. Guys, do not forget that when you have something squared, you actually have it twice. So do yourself a favor and write it twice. Remember that from when we were factoring? Now we'll do 11 times 11 is the square root of 121. We'll do 2 on the outside minus 2 square roots 11, and that came from the second arc. And then we have minus 2 square roots of 11 on the inside. And then we get minus 2, and minus 2 is a plus 4. Now the square root of 121 is really 11. So I'm going to do 11 and 4 together makes 15 minus a total of 4 square roots of 11. Now I want to do one more with you. It is in your book. Alright, the book one is this. It is the square root of 6 minus 2 square roots of 3 times 4 square roots of 3 plus 3 square roots of 6. I'm doing this one because it's probably a little more difficult. There's a lot of things on the inside, a lot of things on the outside. Let's do the first arc. The first arc is 4 on the outside, 18 on the inside. because of 6 times 3. The second arc is 3 on the outside and 36 on the inside. The third arc is 2 times 4, so minus 8, and then 3 times 3, square root of 9. And then the last is negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, square root of 3 and square root of 6 is square root of 18. Inside with inside, outside times outside. I'm going to simplify. 18 is made of 9 and 2. 18 on the back here is made up of 9 and 2. Now remember that the square root of 36 is 6. So let's rewrite this. I'm going to put a star by these because we know the square root of 36 and we know the square root of 9. 9 comes out and it becomes 4 times 3 here. Okay? So 4 times 3 is 12 with the square root of 2 left over. Plus 3 times 6 because of the square root of 36. Minus 8 times 3 because of the square root of 9. Minus, this is really 6 times 3. It's minus 18 square roots of 2. Know that the inside, we can go ahead and do 3 times 6, that becomes a plus 18. 8 times 3, that becomes a minus 24. Combine your like terms now. We have a positive 12 and a negative 18 square roots of 2. That makes negative 6 square roots of 2. 18 minus 24 is negative 6. This is a very good problem. This is something I expect you to be able to do. I will go through the video. If you didn't understand, watch it again until it all starts to come together.